Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo saranjo suchedoye alahadi samya samputoshe.
Namo saranjo suchedoye alahadi samya samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 好的，师父上人，各位师兄，大家好。Venerable Master, Dhamma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture. Today it is the 20th of April. Wow, we're almost done with Aries. It is the 19th of April back in California. We are here in the Gold Coast Dharma realm. Glad you were here with us. Glad you could join. Please get ready for the blessings of the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, the Avatamsaka assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and the Tianlong Babu, who are here to protect and keep us happy and full of blessings. So to get us going, let me pick up my Ashoka banjo here. And lead us on an invocation, an invitation. We invoke their presence, we ask them to come, and it goes Namo Dafang Guangfo Huayan Jing Huayan Hai. banjo back a little later. We want to respectfully acknowledge the Kombu-Meri people, the Ugambe language region, as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where the monastery is located. We pay respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就说我们恭敬地承认与冈贝语族的孔布马里人，他们是澳大利亚这里我们的道场所在地的传统居士者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Bells sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. Wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报贪恶厚德。Yes, good stuff. That is our current set of ceremonies before the lecture. We have developed that over a period of years. We might change it, we might add more, we might delete them. Once we remembered that Shifu, are you hearing this come in and out? Maybe it's just me, I don't know. I hear it comes in and it's funny. Okay. Plenty of battery. Funny. All right, no worries. We forgot that Shifu had us do the bell song. And so it must have been about a year ago, we remembered, oh, sure enough. And our previous Bhikshuni Heng Yin translated it and put it to a melody, and we've been doing that. But we could include other parts of our liturgy as we learn them. One of these days, I'm going to learn how to do the bell song in Chinese, and let your ears endure that. So, bit by bit, this is our opening ceremony. I have told this story before, but one time I was in New York, and Master, I'll think of his name in a minute. He was the elder at Zhuangyan Si, and he was the holder of the lineage of the Tiantai Jiaozong from China, and oh my goodness, he really, really, really could lecture. He was just the best. He had so many stories to illustrate his points, and he knew exactly how to do it the traditional way, the way it had been done for centuries and centuries in China. And when because he was the current Zu Shi, when it was time for him to lecture, of course, he had to do it the right way. He could not innovate, he couldn't change, he had to keep the tradition alive. So the problem is, over time, the tradition got more and more, you say, 隆重, more and more ornate, more and more formal. And so this wonderful teacher, this treasury of stories and illustrations and ways of explaining so that you would understand that no matter who you were, he couldn't say word number one until the monks had finished with all of the protocol that came before the sutra. Oh my goodness. It took half an hour or more sitting there waiting. And the Fa Shi, this Dada, he's sitting there with his palms together. You could just see he's like, how am I going to speak? Right, okay, well, not yet. And they had to praise the sutra, they had to request the Dharma, they had to praise the speaking, and on and on and on. And it's beautiful music, and it's very ornate, but you don't get to hear the Dharma for 30 minutes or more. And so and as a result, guess what? Nobody came. Nobody was there. In the room where I was, my chance to listen to this distinguished master, right? In the room with me, there were, I think, 5 other people who'd come to hear the Dharma, and they were old, and 2 of them were asleep by the time he said, "Go away," everyone, it was just like, so sad. And so in that case, tradition choked off the spirit of the Dharma. So right now, we start with Qingfa. That's required. That's the way Samantabhadra gives it to us. Then we have the Wu Shang Shen Zhen Wei Miao Fa. That came from the Wu Zetian, who was a Tang Dynasty empress. She was a real Dharma protector. Her verse, Supreme and Wondrous Dharma, that got added because people liked it. So that came not from a monk, but from a lay woman, the empress. And then now we've got the bell song, and we've got the acknowledgement of country. So our pre-lecture protocols are growing. I don't know at what point we'll add so much that people won't want to listen anymore. Okay, so here we go. Let's jump right in. What are we going to do today? We're going to finish up Sudana, his meeting with his teacher Megha, Lord Megha. We're going to look at the final teachings that Megha gives him before he sends him off to the next teacher. We're going to look at Sudana's reaction to his teacher. It's quite emotional, I might say. Then we're going to talk about what we heard from Megha. We're going to look into those teachings. And then we've got more, which is we've got a video. We have a 5-minute video clip of a similar encounter that happened at Zhongnanshan with our friend of the Dharma, Ted Berger, the filmmaker, in Zhongnanshan in 1990? I don't have the year exactly, but not too long ago, with a real living teacher, very similar to Sudana's encounter with Lord Megha. Okay, you ready for that? Let's go. Let's start. Here we go. Here we go. I'll put my palms together. I'll give you a line. If you want to give it back to me, is good. And those of you who can, here we go. 善男子，我为之此。菩萨妙音陀罗尼光明法门，菩萨妙音陀罗尼光明法门 ，good。如诸菩萨摩诃萨，能普入一切众生，种种想海，种种sorry， 对不起，再来。种种施设海，种种名号海，种种语言海，能普入说一切深密法具海，说一切究竟法具海。说一切缘中，有一切三世，所缘法具海，说上法具海，说上法具海，说法差别法具海。OK， that 差别或者差别哈，说差别法具海，说一切差别法具海，能普入一切世间咒术海， 一切音声庄严轮，一切差别自轮海啊，sorry，再说，一切差别自论记。好，最后如是功德，我今云何能知能说？好 ，excellent, thank you. We did the whole speech by Lord Mega. Okay, now I will read the English. You're welcome to read together with me, not chorus, not question answer style, but together, unison. Here we go. Ready? Good man, I only know this Dharma method of a bodhisattva's wondrous sound Dharani light. But how all bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, can enter the oceans of being's many thoughts, the oceans of their creations, the oceans of their names, the oceans of their words and languages, and how they speak the oceans of profoundly secret Dharma phrases, the oceans of ultimate Dharma phrases, the oceans of Dharma phrases in which one condition can encompass all conditions within the 3 periods of time, the oceans of superior Dharma phrases, the oceans of the superior grade of Dharma phrases, the oceans of differentiated Dharma phrases, the oceans of every differentiated Dharma phrase, and how they can enter into the oceans of worldly chanting or the wheel of adornment with sounds, and know the boundary of the wheel of differentiated syllables. How can I possibly know or speak of such excellent virtues? Got it. Okay, that's a lot, isn't it? Now, here's what's going on. Mega is the teacher number 5. Sudana is his student. Mega has just explained his method. All of the earlier requirements have happened. Sudana requested Dharma. Mega, in return, said, have you made the Bodhi resolve? Sudana guaranteed he had. So then Mega goes on to praise his method and say what it is. And then it's very interesting what he does. He sends out a light from his face saying, I'm going to teach. And guess who? Gods, dragons, Eightfold Pantheon, they all arrive because they want to learn. They want to hear it from him. Okay, then, this is the last couple of weeks, the thing he does, he praises Sudana. He talks about how a bodhisattva is like the sun, is like the moon, is like the earth, like the ocean, like Mount Sumeru, like a general, like an emperor, like a fire, like a cloud, like a rain, like a ship's captain. The bodhisattva is like a bridge. And then there's an editorial comment. Mega's praise of Sudana pleased the bodhisattvas. They like to hear this, right? So, 迷界如是赞叹善财，令诸菩萨皆欢喜。Okay, they really like Mega's using natural analogies, the sun, the moon, the ocean, etc., saying that a bodhisattva, Sudana, his student, is like that. So the bodhisattvas are pleased. Okay, so all the Tianlong Babu come, and then here is the action of the teaching. Then Mega, the great master, skillfully revealed, proclaimed, analyzed, and explained his Dharma method. What did he do? 以方便为开示演说分别解释. That's it. 4 verbs to say what he did to explain to Sudana his method. This is it. This is what I'm teaching you, he said. He 开示, right? 演说分别解释, revealed, proclaimed, analyzed, and explained this Dharma method, the adornment with the wheel of syllables. And having heard it, everybody who heard it, all those who flew in to hear this, realized the 8th stage of the bodhisattvas, dibadi, pusa dibadi. That's where you become irreversible from anuttara samyak sambodhi. 从 这个佛地就得不退转 no more retreat. Okay, now, for 2 lectures we did this. We got here, and then we showed what is this thing that Mega explained, and here it is. This is what he explained right here. And it's a wheel, it revolves. In the center is this Vairochana syllable. It's a Sanskrit syllable in the center. Vairochana Buddha, Pilujana Fo的这个字中, it's called a bija, a seed. It's a seed sound. And then you go up to the top here, this ah, and you turn to the right, and you go around like that. And there are 42 syllables. If you use the Sanskrit, the outer circle here, that's the Sanskrit. Siddham writing. And it goes a, ra, pa, cha, na. Those are the 5 syllables of the Manjushri mantra. And then it goes la, da, ba, da, sha, a, ra, pa, cha. Around it goes like that. All the way to 42. And if you want to see what those syllables are, somebody put them into a table, not a wheel. Go from the left top to the right across. A, ra, pa, cha, na, like that. La, da, ba, da, sha. And then on down to 42. So there's one of them that's 3 syllables. Cockatoos are reciting their own mantra here. There we go. Communication. 11 of them are double syllables. The rest are single syllables. So here it is, just to say what it looks like. So that's what Mega, Lord Mega, explained. That's what he taught. And he proclaimed, analyzed, explained the method. Everybody who heard it, something happened to them. Their progress in the way progressed, their status, their position in cultivation, just by hearing Mega explain it, they made big progress. They moved forward in the Bodhisattva path. Okay. Now, interestingly, we didn't talk about this. What about Sudana himself? Did he become irreversible? I suppose. He was one of those who listened. Interesting. Just even the hearing Mega explain it. Now, as we said last time, we don't, in this part of the sutra, we don't get the explanation. We just get the description. This happened, is what it says. Later on, Sudana progresses. He gets to teacher number 44, and that's where we get our detailed explanation of all 44. So this is, in our tradition, in our Mahayana tradition, this particular teaching becomes known as the Huayan Zimu, the Avatamsaka alphabet. And I won't say it's common. Why? Because reciting the Avatamsaka Sutra is not all that common. People do it. They take the entire sutra, this giant book, and they open it to page 1, and they recite all the way through to the end. But what do? They simply nian. You recite it. You don't read it. Reading is like for comprehension. What does it mean? Go slowly. If I don't understand, I can stop. I can go back. I can just take a little bit every day and read it. I can talk about it. That's reading. This is not that. This is reciting. Because it's Chinese, you can get the wooden fish, and you can go tap, 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 如是我闻一是佛在摩诘提古于大比丘中间250人聚 like that. And you keep that speed up, and you can go through the whole text in a number of days. The Avatamsaka takes you 21 days if you do it right number of hours at the right speed, normal speed. The custom, certainly in DRBA, in our monasteries, including here at Gokostama realm, the custom is after every scroll, after every juan, a division of the Chinese text, you take 2 or 3 syllables out of the Avatamsaka alphabet and recite them. And there's, of course, prior liturgy, incense praise, transference at the end. You do it in a formal way. But it's quite amazing, quite wonderful to have this piece of the Avatamsaka Sutra, which is what Sudana is encountering right now. This is the teaching, and bring it to life by chanting it. And we can do that. We're allowed, because this practice became part of the Bodhisattva path, part of our Hanchuan Tuojiao. What does this belong to? This belongs to Mizong. This is really our Mizong. It's our the esoteric or the secret school. It's not the Jiaozong once you bring the syllables out and explain them. You hear it changing? Yeah. What is that doing? Is that battery or what? It's funny, isn't it? Yeah. It doesn't bother me if it doesn't bother you. So I'm afraid that online they can't hear at a certain point. It comes back right away. So, okay. So our Mizong, it's not the Chanzong, it's not the Jingdu Zong, it's not the Lü Zong, it's not the Jiao Zong, but it comes from the teaching school. But it's the Mizong. That is to say, these are sounds that have special power. These are sounds they carry meaning in another realm. So, there you go. Swap out. All right. Okay, our volume is good. Now, what happens next? Mega says, Sudana, can we turn it down just a little bit, Sam? This is a little too hot. 声音, Sam, 声音太高一点. Yeah, drop a little bit. I can hear an echo there. Just a little bit. Okay, that's better. Yeah, better. Okay. He says, I have got this wondrous sound, Dharani. Okay, here he calls it a Dharani. And a Dharani, can you hear an echo? Up. Is that still a little too hot? If you're happy with it, keep it. That's good. To me, it's a little loud there. Okay. Better. Yeah, there we go. Good. Just take that little. Excellent. Okay. A Dharani is also known as a mantra. Zhou, Zhenyan, Toloni. 3 names for basically the same thing, which is using sound to create an effect, to get a result. The power of sound. Notice it's called Miao Yin, wondrous sound, Dharani. The Da Bei Zhou, the Great Compassion Dharani, is also the Great Compassion mantra. Now, is a mantra a Zhenyan? Not for sure. Zhenyan tend to be shorter. Zhenyan tend to be a couple syllables maybe, but a Dharani tends to be longer, but collectively you could say they're mantras. They're used for sound and a particular effect that sounds have. Now, what's interesting is in non-Buddhist culture, what do we have? We have spells. There's a famous rock and roll song, I'm gonna cast a spell on you, right? Screamin' Jay Hawkins sang, because you're mine, it's not the way you do, I'm blind, says Screamin' Jay Hawkins. I'm gonna cast a spell on you. Who does that? Well, we think of witches. Shakespeare, in what's called Macbeth, the Scottish play, Shakespeare begins Macbeth with 3 witches, double, double, toil and trouble, cauldron burn and fire bubble, fire burn and cauldron bubble, right? 3 witches, called the ugly sisters. They're around a pot brewing up some sort of evil poison. So in that culture, spells are considered negative. They're bad. They're often evil. Cast a spell. We also, in Western culture, have voodoo, which is in French it's called voodoo, and it's a particular, from the point of view of Buddhism, it would be a Wai Dao, and a non-Buddhist teaching that's centered by and large on Haiti, the island of Haiti. And voodoo has spells. They can hex a chicken, and if you eat the chicken, you get sick, or you get a problem. You lose your control of your mind or something. So, in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Vietnam, in Indonesia, there is gu poisoning, and many people who I know in Malaysia are aware of the presence of sorcerers, of hexes, that you can hire if you want to harm someone. You pay a certain amount of money, you find the gu poisoner, and they brew up some sort of poison, and then somehow convey it to you, either by putting it in something you drink, something you eat, something you touch. They put it on an object, and you touch it, and you get the hex. And only the poisoner, only the sorcerer knows the mantra to release the effect of the poison and take the spell off. So this is, it's the dark side of religion, right? This is black magic. And it involves sound as well as physical things. So here we go. This is, if you look at the teachings of Confucius, what did Confucius say? This is actually from the Buddha's time, because Confucius, 6th century BC, was a contemporary of the Buddha and of Lao Tzu as well. He said that there are tunes available in China at that time that should never be played. Do not play this music because it has the power to create disaster. It will, he called it the tunes of Zheng and Wei, the lewd tunes of Zheng and Wei. If you play that music, there will be large black birds that will fly down and can tear your castle apart brick by brick. So this is one of the stories of Confucius, talking about the power of music, right? Now, at the same time, Confucius said there is a ceremony called the Shao, and the Shao was so powerful, so wholesome, and so good that when the Zheng Pai, when the right, correct courtiers and musicians invoke the Shao ceremony, which took barely quite a while to perform it, Confucius liked the music so much, he felt so full, he forgot to eat. He was already full. So look at the power of sound, how powerful it is. There is actually, it gets very, like Western culture is very aware of the power of sound because there is a chord called a tritone. The intervals, I won't do it, but you can make a tritone, 3 notes that are so discordant. They are so they're so out of harmony, called the tritone. It's a chord that if you play it in the past, in years past, people would say that sound has the power to drive people crazy, to make them want to kill themselves. That's the tritone. It's so dissonant. People know the word dissonance, meaning 不和. So That's the power of sound. And it's just a vibration. It is nothing different than this, or this, or this. Those are vibrating strings. The string is held from this point to this point, and a vibrating string in between. If it's in harmony, it sounds very pleasant, and those vibrations go out to the universe. If it's unpleasant, it can do damage. Sound, it can clean our teeth, have an ultrasound plaque remover for our teeth, so we know how powerful vibrations are. So Mega is saying to Sudana, this is the wondrous sound Dharani. When I attain this mantra, this Dharani, you know what happens? I can know within a vast expanse of space gods, dragons, yakshas, gandharvas, asuras, garudas, kinnaras, maharagas, humans and non-humans languages, including Brahma gods. I know how the gods speak. I can speak God. I can speak God language, he says, Brahma God language. That's a powerful mantra, isn't it? So what would it be? It's Mega making vibrations with his Dharani that opens other languages to him. Now, let's think about that. He goes on to say, the way it is in this universe, up to countless worlds in all 10 directions, universes, is the same way. I know their languages. I can hear and understand what they're saying. So this is a magic decoder. I have the fundamental decoder algorithm of all time and space for all beings. All right? That's where we got last week. So what an amazing Dharma. This is Mizong for the Han Chuan Fojiao. This is our Mahayana tradition, our Chinese traditions, Mizong. Would you like to have that mantra? Oh, my goodness. That Dharani. How amazing to be able to have a certain vibration that opened up all the other sounds to you. Now, the ones he listed are not, he said humans and non-humans, but before that, the Chen Tapo, Ashio Lo, Jalo Lo, Jin Lo, Moha Lo, Che, Ye Cha, like that. Those are spiritual beings. Those are not people. Now, in human, what is it in humanity? If I went in the ChatGPT, I could get the answer. How many languages there are currently alive being spoken on our planet? Is it 230? Terry, anybody got a phone? Check it out. How many languages? 现在这个世界上多少个语言呢？ Right? 可用可讲的，不是把淘汰掉。So we have our experts checking right now. So that's human languages. Now, there are also languages that have gone out of use. There are languages going extinct every day. You get an answer? Whoa. 7,000. 7,000. Oh, that's way more. I was thinking it was in the hundreds. So, ChatGPT tells us, or is it DeepSeek? What are you using? ChatGPT, not DeepSeek. DeepSeek has a different number. You have the same number, Sam? Okay. ChatGPT, our AI companion chatbot says, now, ChatGPT 自己算不算语言了？哦，它也算不算？ Okay. So, 7,000 some, 7,400. 正确多少？七千。7,100 current living languages. Okay. If we went to say how many have gone out of currency, no longer spoken, they're extinct, that's when it gets really interesting and kind of sad, because we have. Here's an example. city of 10,000 Buddhas is located in, we're talking about the fundamental, storytellers and custodians of the land. The land includes the culture. And city of 10,000 Buddhas is located in what used to be known as Pomo Tierra, the land of the Pomo. Those are that's the tribe, that's the first peoples, the original custodians of that, what we call the Ukiah Valley. They call it Yokayo. It's a high valley. You go up and up and up from San Francisco, the Bay Area, you climb, and around just past Petaluma, you start to go up. And then you get up to Cloverdale, and through Santa Rosa, Cloverdale, and on up, and you go over a mountain and then down into a valley, and that's us. And that was the Pomo territory, the Pomo Indians, Pomo land. When I first traveled up there, it was 1973, and this is before I had met Master Hsuen Hua. And because I had friends they were actually my housemates, they knew that the Pomo Indians were having a strawberry festival. Every year, when the strawberries were ripe, the Pomo tribe would announce that they would open up their lands and you could come and enjoy their strawberries and hear the dancing and hear the music and get to meet the folks. The culture keeper, some would say medicine woman, was a woman named Essie Parrish. And Essie Parrish, very dignified woman who was trying hard to keep the Pomo culture alive. She could speak the language of the Pomos. She had several sons, and they had picked one of the sons out to be the culture carrier into the next generation. And sadly, he died when he was still a young man. It was a very tragic situation. And the crisis was, could you keep the language alive? Because beyond Essie Parish, there were very few young people who cared enough to take the time to learn to speak and understand Pomo language. Sad, right? So, like the Pomo tribe, in California alone, there were dozens of tribes who could count the number of speakers of their language on both hands. Beyond that, once those people passed on, if they had not transmitted knowledge of the language or written a dictionary or an instruction, gone. And with the death of the language, all of the stories, all of the rules, all of the teachings of the tribe would disappear. So that situation there's a database. I don't have the website, but there are websites of catalogs of the currently in danger of going extinct languages of tribes, of the original peoples. And so this is, I know this story personally from California, but that situation is happening all over the world. Are there new languages being invented? Well, I guess computer code languages, C++ and Python and Ubuntu and things like that. Java, Java beans. Some of them invented at Berkeley's Evans Hall, for sure. But spoken languages that people, communicate with, disappearing. And yet our AI chatbot says there's 7,100 still alive in the world. Okay, now that's resource material for Mega, who goes beyond humans. He knows the languages of, gods, dragons, yakshas, gandharvas, and the rest, right? Tianlong Babu, their language. Those are not people. Those are spiritual beings. And yet, if you know this Dharani that Mega teaches, Sudana, you can somehow find the vibration rate of all those other beings. How interesting is that? And for Mega, it's real. It's a Dharma. It's just another, that's what he was good at. He was good at identifying sound vibrations. Wowee, so interesting. This is my favorite example because I'm surrounded by it every day, but twice a day I get cockatoos who show up at my deck where I live, and one of the things they do, before they arrive, you announce you're coming in. As they fly in, they're going with a really harsh, loud sound, and what they're saying is, here I come. I'm coming in. And I watch the other birds as those loud sounds are being announced. Are they hearing it? Are they picking up? Is it communicating something? And they don't blink. There's like, yeah, so I know, here comes Fred. Here comes Maggie. Here comes Sally, because they know them, they know the sounds. And if the bird is new and feels like he has to announce himself, they throw up their sulfur crest when they land, and they nod. They go, like that. They nod 3 times, and it's kind of like, watch out for me because I'm dangerous, I'm tough, deal with me. And I don't respond, and then they pull their crest in, and they're very guai, hi, have you got any food? But there's this thing that they do before they arrive. They make this loud sound, and then they throw up their crest and nod their head 3 times, and there they are. Now, that's fine that some communication has happened. Some of it is wordless. It's the gesture with the head to demonstrate, this is my space and deal with me. But what I've noticed is, while they're there are certain things they can say, and it has to do with, get out of you interrupted my feeding, you're in my territory, you've invaded my personal space. There's a get away sound. But there's one particular sound that if one of the birds says it, they all instantly fly away. It's an alert sound, an alarm sound. Sometimes they don't do it. So usually after they've eaten, they're 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, they kind of, before they go, they announce they are leaving. It's so interesting. After they've eaten, they kind of slowly prune their feathers, look around, everybody's got food. They turn, sitting on the rail, towards the forest, towards the bush, and then they go, rock, and they depart. There's a goodbye that they all say. But here's the thing that I was saying. If the condition requires it, there's an alert and alarm sound that is, get out of here, danger. And they're gone in the blink of an eye, all at once. And I can never tell what caused it. I don't see any danger, any risk, anything showing up. But one of the birds will go, whoop, instantly, no birds, gone, poof. If you blinked, you miss it. They're all gone. They leave so quickly. But there is one sound that they all understand, which means time to go. And if nobody does that, and it's rare, it's like one every 3 visits or so, somebody will announce the departure sound. If not, when it's time to go 1 by 1, they say, work, and I can be inside working, and now my ear is tuned. I know that's goodbye. Each individual bird says goodbye. To the others or to me, I don't know what it is. Maybe in Japan, after you've eaten, you say, "Gochiso sama deshita." Maybe it's like that, 吃饱了，谢谢，再见, いらっしゃいませ, ごちそうさまでした. So it's, I don't know but I hear those speech communications. The birds are reaching out to speak, to communicate out. And I'm of course I'm reading into it. Is that really what's going on? But I notice the pattern every time. When they fly in, there's a rah, rah, rah. I'm here, I'm coming, and then they up comes the crest and they nod their head 3 times. And then they settle in. And after they've eaten, goodbye. There they go. The other birds are different. There is a baby mode sound that the currawongs, we have 2 currawongs, a couple, and when they are raising kids, there's a feeding sound that the babies make as the parents are putting food in their mouth. And you accompany it with a fluttering of the feathers. It's, I am innocent, I am helpless, you have to feed me. Definitely it communicates the idea of feed me, I can't help. I can't help myself, right? Now, the Currawongs, the male is the younger one. And I knew him from when he was raised as a baby. I knew him when he was in the egg. He is now an adult. But when I put out food for the Currawongs, currently it's raisins, they love dried fruit, or dog food. We have Purina dog chow, which is clean, free of chemicals, and they really like it, and it's just the right size. When it's time to feed them the Purina dog chow, and the male comes first, he's always the first one on the railing, but when his partner, the female, shows up, she's an older bird, an older generation, he does baby mode. He goes, and he waves his feathers, and he's this, and when she shows up, if she doesn't show up, he doesn't do it. He just eats like a normal adult bird. But when the female shows up and it's time to eat, he does the baby communication. So this is bird language that is a pattern. I see it over and over again. I'm sure about this. I should probably write a bird dictionary, the various communications from the birds. But it happens every single time. And each species, kookaburras, oh my goodness, kookaburras have this incredible laugh. And then there's magpies. Magpies sing beautifully. I have not cracked the magpie code. I don't know what they're singing. And butcherbirds have a beautiful, mournful sound. Lorikeets have a whole bunch of communications that while they eat, they give approval sounds while they eat. There are these kind of, this is really good kind of sound when they're eating. And king parrots have an amazing vocabulary. What I've noticed is if I'm working inside and one of these beautiful red or green king parrots lands on the railing, they want to get my attention. And so they go, just one, and they look in. Did you know we're here? They're getting my attention by a beautiful sound. So just the point is, because I'm surrounded by these birds twice a day, I hear the same sounds come back and around, and then I look what behavior is associated with what sound. And sure enough, it's bird language. They are communicating with me, they're communicating with each other. And it's pretty basic. It's, I'm here, I'm hungry, like that. Or leave me alone, or goodbye, it's time to go. Or I'm a baby, I'm helpless, please feed me, So it's really interesting to see that there are certain sounds that they all understand immediately. The most important one is, get out of here. I've heard come to think of it, there's another bird vocabulary which has to do with a threat from a snake. When a snake shows up, the Currawongs in particular are the kind of the marshals, the sheriffs, who are there to tell you there's danger. But when there's a snake, because all the birds are threatened by snakes, turkeys are not. Turkeys are too big. When all the birds are threatened by the presence of a snake, somebody gives a repeated alarm, and it's not pretty. The Currawongs have this sound. That's their normal communication. But when the snake shows up, the Currawongs are like that. It's like alert, alarm, ding, 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 and all the birds pay attention. So there are certain communication sounds that cut through different species. When the Currawong sings the alarm, all the birds look out. They talk among themselves. Here's a snake. Because the snake, pythons in particular, will climb up a tree and eat the eggs out of the nest. So when a python shows up, you get on alert, go on alert. So how interesting that among the different species, different birds have different jobs. and they have different sounds to communicate to the bird community what is going on. So just simply by being there and by watching and listening and noticing what's going on, I have heard these repeated sound patterns. Now, Mega is able to go into the vibration rate of sound itself to know what the gods and the dragons, imagine what gods say, what do dragons say, what do ghosts, yakshas say, what do musical spirits say, what do asuras, titans, how do they speak? Garudas, birds, kinnaras, they have a horn on their head. Maharagas are snakes. What do they say? So interesting. So Mega can do that. Okay, now we're up to today. He says, good man, Sudana, I only know that mantra. That's all I know, is this Miao Guang Toloni. He says it's a Guangming. Notice this is a clue. It is a Miao Yin, wonderful sound, Toloni, Guangming Faman, light Dharma method. So for him, it comes out as a light, not as a sound. Now, what do we know from physics? Sometimes they say light, is it a particle or is it a wave? All right? This is so interesting. Is it a yuanzi or a fenzi? Or does it behave like this? How do we know? We know only if there's a scope. Science has these scopes. They can see the passing of waves or particles. You know? It's like, that's so interesting. Which one is it? Another way to look at it is, are we hearing it or are we seeing it? Does it come in through the eye? Does it come in through the ear? That's how we as humans know that someone has said something, right? If we shut our eyes, we can still know when someone has spoken because our ears hear it. But if our eyes are covered, we can see someone's mouth moving, but we don't know what they said. So all of this is dependent upon our liugan, right? Eyes and ears. Now, question for all of you. What if we didn't use our senses at all? Can there still be communication? What am I talking about? Ta xin tong, right? Telepathy. Bodhisattvas, we know, if you have cultivated, you can know what people are saying without speech happening. Now, Mega has said it's a light, Toloni Guangming. So it's a light, you still have to see it, don't you? Now, what does he say? He says, Bodhisattvas, Ru Pusa Mohasa, Nang Puru, here's the verb, can enter what? Shama 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 Hai. They can enter into an ocean of what? Xiang Hai. Zhong Zhong Xiang. Thoughts. Thoughts are like an ocean. A bodhisattva, mahasattva, doesn't need sound, doesn't need pictures, doesn't need language. He knows what they're thinking. So Mega says, I can't do that, right? Mega is putting a limit on what he can do. He's saying how other bodhisattvas, right? This is what all these teachers do. They outline their experience. Then they say, but I don't know this level. I only know this level. Go south and you'll find the other guy, and he knows more. What does he know? He knows telepathy. You don't need to speak it, and he can still understand. 知道普入众生相海. Okay, what else? 施设海, how things are set up in their mind. 名号, everybody's names. He knows the names of all beings. What are we discovering now? Science is saying that dolphins have names, whales have names, and now they hear patterns. There's this new oceanographic study talking about how listening to whales, you can know there are certain things that come up over and over again, and only certain whales respond. The names. We can know the names of dolphins and whales. They have names, and the other whales know them. So, 种种名号海，种种语言海, the ocean of language. Okay? All right. Now, where are we going with this idea of communication? Is everybody familiar with pantomime? Anybody, I don't know, in China, is there pantomime? How do you say pantomime in Chinese? Pantomime is gesture. Pantomime. Marcel Marceau, 有没有? Here we go. Let me show you. Famous, French, a mime, M-I-M-E. Marcel Marceau. Here he is. Famous. Everybody see Marcel Marceau? No language, but you completely understand what he is communicating. This is the famous French pantomime. No words, but you completely get it. Right? He's in his character called Bip. This is his character with a hat and the white face. Pantomime. Very French. Here's a wall. You can see the wall even though it doesn't exist, right? There he is. Okay, so this is pantomime. In Chinese, 怎么讲? 默. 沉默. Okay, so that's Marcel Marceau. And the point is to say that, do you need language at all? Now, as I looked at the commentary here, the first four thoughts, here we go. Okay. Bodhisattvas, mahasattvas can enter, here's the verb, thoughts, creations, 诗社, names, words, and language. These are simple. At this point, it becomes 深深的秘密, profoundly secret Dharma phrases. So, profoundly secret Dharma phrases. Wow, 好像多智多难阿那利毗舍提毗勒巴舍巴舍巴特大智多难阿那利毗舍提毗勒巴舍拉托利panto panto ni basha labang nipan hushin dulu yom pan sopo. Okay, that's the Lungyen Zhou Xin. Shifu says the power words are unali pishati. One is horizontal, one is vertical. Holding and gathering in and protecting, putting a border around, protection. 多智多难 is to say, 就是说, 多智多难 is, it goes like this. 阿那利毗舍提. Protecting horizontally, protecting vertically, putting a border around. Okay, that would be a profoundly secret Dharma phrase. Ultimate Dharma phrase. A Dharma phrase in which Yi Yuan, one condition, can gather in all conditions, past, present, and future. Then, Shang, and then Shang Shang, superior, and then the highest among the high. Dharma phrases. 就说苦海无边回头是岸. That's a Dharma phrase, right? 了生脱死离苦得乐. That's a Dharma phrase. Putting an end to birth and death. a differentiated Dharma phrase, and every differentiated Dharma phrase. So Megha is saying, wow, all these things, I don't know these. The next teacher is the one who knows these. You got to go south to get these from him. And then the last one brings back his particular Dharma. The ocean of, what is it? It's Zhou, here, this is the one. 咒树海，一切音声庄严论，一切差别自论起。This is worldly chanting. The wheel of adornment with sounds, the boundary of the wheel of adornment, different syllables. He says, even this part, this is my Dharma, but I don't go there. I don't know that yet. So look at how Megha is like, he's putting himself down and praising the teachers. Does he really not know this? Of course he does. He's already 得到解脱了. But he is preparing Sudana for the next teacher. Okay? So there are 14 things that he says he doesn't know yet. But if Sudana goes on to the next teacher, he can learn them. You see how this works? So this is really, really fascinating as he explains sound and language. And for us, now I'm going to step away from the Avatamsaka briefly and just say, for us right now, what's it like to be inside our heads, to be inside our bodies, our skin? I go this far. I only go as far as my skin. But I want to communicate something to you, and it's important that you understand what I'm thinking. It's important that you understand what I'm feeling, what I want to communicate. How do I know when I've got it out of my world inside, where I live in here alone and you're outside? How do I know when you understand, when you get it? Well, the answer is, it depends on language. And that language could be sometimes gesture, it could be expression, sometimes it could be, I use music vibration, sometimes it could be, if you're able, 心与心通, telepathy, but I never really know if you understood 100% of what I wanted to communicate. That's the pain of being a living being. We're born into these units, into these separate units with eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. How skillful are we in communicating? Now, flip it around. Suppose you're the one who wants to communicate to me, and I have to listen. I have to get what you're trying to say. That's the other half of communication, the sending and the receiving. How frustrating when you kind of understand, but you don't really. What did you mean by that? 我听不懂，真的. How could you say that? You know? Maybe you get the words, but you don't get the meaning, or something's in the way. I don't think you really mean it. 不是真心来讲. It's like, or what's a lie? 妄语. Oh my goodness. You could communicate, but what do they say? 口是心非. Your mouth says yes, but your mind is no, right? How complicated is communication? How difficult. And it's just part of being, we take it for granted that this is the way things are. How tough. This is really tough, isn't it? And yet, we don't stop trying. Literature, plays, telecommunications, our magical devices, these things, right? These are all attempts to bridge that fundamental gap between one living being and another. Now, in the case of the Bodhisattva, why is language so important? This is teacher number 5, and he wants Sudana to get this miao yin tolani. It's because The Bodhisattva's entire being focuses on teaching. The Bodhisattva has to communicate the Dharma if his or her vows are going to come real. Now, I would point out for arhats, doesn't matter. Not so important. Arhats want to get liberated and gone. Nirvana, forget it, right? Done. Bodhisattvas have to communicate. For them, language is the thing. But what language? Well, Mega says gods, dragons, Kinnaras, Asuras, Maharajas. He can speak all those. He can speak bird. He can speak kangaroo. He can speak koala. How good. So fascinating, isn't it? This is the Avatamsaka realm. And I'm all in. I think this is so cool. So wonderful. All right. That's it for today. The Mega goes on. Now, he says, then we should probably do the next line. Mega says, 善男子从此南行，有一聚落，名曰竹林，彼有长者，名曰解脱。 Okay, he says, good man, south of here in a village called Home Grove is an elder named Liberation. He says, 如意彼问菩萨云何修菩萨行，菩萨云何成菩萨行，菩萨云何即菩萨行，菩萨云何思菩萨行。 He says, all right, go to him, ask him how a bodhisattva cultivates bodhisattva practices, how a bodhisattva accomplishes bodhisattva practices, how a bodhisattva amasses bodhisattva practices, and how a bodhisattva thinks of bodhisattva practices. Okay, I'm going to stop there because next week we're going to look at Sudana's response to being sent away by his teacher, and then we'll go to teacher number 6, and the elder liberation, Jietuo Zhangzhe, he's next. Okay, now I mentioned that we have a video briefly. I know we've said always that there are questions, and I want to keep those questions alive. So if you have questions, go ahead, type them in. But I want people to look ahead to a contemporary teacher in Zhongnanshan, a hermit, and what's it like to have a real hermit communicate with you and speak Dharma. Watch this. The guy with the beard is Ted Berger. He's the filmmaker. This is his teacher. This is Guang Fa Shi. This is not the one we're talking about. He's saying goodbye to this teacher and moving on to the one we're interested in. Starts right here. And I want our translators to keep, because you hear mostly English, so you'll have to keep it up.
We've met back up with our trail guide. He's taking us to meet a hermit we've been hearing a lot about. He lives in a brick hut down in the valley, and many people say he's a highly realized practitioner, a man everyone looks up to.
你们听得到吗？够，声音够大。OK。钟南山。
He is a hermit amongst hermits, a meditator amongst meditators. He won't open his gate, some warned. And sure enough, when we got there, his gate was locked up tight.
师傅，你想怎么样？我们应该等他回来吗？或者
Should we
他大概去哪儿？
wait or not? Where is he going?
Turns out he was inside the whole time, sitting meditation. Finally, the gate did open, and we were greeted warmly.
你喝开水，
喝可以，
喝开水，喝了开水再说。
谢谢。
This is the monk who all the hermits think maybe 得到了，证到了。热水壶。
师傅，您在这山上有几年了？
我几年，
How long have you been here? Not long. 我几年？
我几年，
没几年了。
是谦虚是。
What do his eyes see? 他的眼睛都会看到什么？
您是陕西人吗？
我是河南的，
河南的。你在河南出家了吗？
我不是在山西出的家，这个江西啊，在江西出的家。你到云里山去过吧？
Where? He left home at Yunjushan, Zhenrusi, right? That's where Master Empty Cloud was. This particular 老修行 has very bright eyes. 他的眼睛特别亮的。
没有。
在江西云里山。
那你为什么来终南山？
为什么？那我也知道为什么。
Why did you come to Zhongshan? I wish I knew. 我也不知道。
你说为什么呢？
Why did you come? I mean, that's the kind of answer that you would expect from Shifu or who's the Thai master? Ajahn Chah. That's the kind of answer you get from Ajahn Chah. I don't know. Why'd you come here? Just completely turns it around, right?
这各有各的因缘，因缘不可思议的，是吧？我们这个缘分也到不这个地方。
This is Yuan, Yin Yuan. He translates it as the great unfolding. We would say causes and conditions. If you don't have these causes and conditions, you would not get here. It's those causes that brought you here to his hermit's hut on Zhongnan Mountain.
一切都属于因缘法。
Everything has its own conditions.
强求不得的，是吧？
You can't force it.
你来到这不是因缘，也怎么有因缘性你来不到这，咱见不着面，人见面都有缘，知道吧？
If you didn't have those connections with me, those affinities, you never would have made it to my door. You have to have those affinities.
要我不开门，你们等着。你要走了，不是没那个缘分了吗？
You could even get to the door, but if I didn't open it, then we wouldn't have met. So that is really the issue, is affinities.
一元千年的相会。
见面这个缘呢，这个都是以前50以来种的有这个因。
Okay, so it was limitless time, lifetime, time without beginning. There was a cause. We planted down that cause. And in that, I mean, this is my commentary, but what could it be? It could be you smiled at them, you gave them a meal, you hired them to be your employee, you were hired by them. And negative is also the same. If you harm somebody or curse them or cut off their food or something, or killed them, those seeds are also there. When they come alive in this life, we say, oh, okay, 缘分, affinities.
今天回到一坨就是缘。
Okay, that's what I wanted to share. Ted says, Fa Shi, would you speak Dharma for us? And the Fa Shi says, it's in the sutras. He said, the sutras say it best. The sutras lay out a path for, I'll let you should hear it from him, not from me. Can you speak? He says,
没事讲。
nothing to say.
学经文啊都讲透了，学我学现在我现在，给那自己为度还能度人呢。
I haven't do. How can I save anyone else?
度了人。
So those phrases, this is real Chan Dharma, you know. He's speaking the way the Buddha would speak. There's nothing to say. But as you just know, the unspoken part is Ted Berger and his the guide, the young monk who brought him here, and his videographer have come a long way to this valley at Zhongnanshan. So our senior monk here is going to teach. He's going to give them some Dharma.
有什么讲？
He says, nothing to say. Meanwhile, since I'm here, since you're here, he looks probably into the distant past. Looks at the conditions.
自己没有功夫，就是自己有这个瞎子，哎。你要学引导众生，学你自己摸不着路，学你咋能会引导众生摸路啊？对不对？
This is the young monk
这
speaking.
实在是的。你看那就是说开始，他们学就已经学过来的人了。
The Kaishi, the teachings of the patriarchs have already walked the path, the ancestors.
他把这个路途已经学找清楚了。
They're really clear about the way to go.
他把这个路途找清楚以后，他走过了，已经学达到这个不生不灭之
They've
地。
come to this place that is not born and doesn't die. That's a key, that's a real Buddhist concept, right? That's the deathless place. When they got there, they explained it.
也进了宝城了，就是。
Jin the Baocheng, they entered the fortress.
又回来度众生，把这个路途写我才写的清清楚楚。
They come back to teach the road to us, so we don't go straight. So wonderful, right? So there we go. The next thing he does in the next couple minutes, he brings out a sutra and he shows them what he means, where the path is explained. So, okay, I just wanted people to see that because it's now this is called, what is this? This is called the mountain path. And Ted Berger is here's Marcel Marceau, Common Folk Films. This is Ted Berger's website. The mountain path, that's what we just saw. My search for a hermit Zen master in China. So it's called One Mind Productions. If maybe our SysOp can send that out, One Mind Productions. Put that on YouTube for folks, and here is Zoom. That's the place if you want to see more of that, and also Ted Berger's other films. He has a film about Zhenru-Si, the very monastery that the elder talked about, called One Mind, Yixin. That's available here too. Okay, the mountain path. Let's see here. Yeah, One Mind Productions. There we go. Put that in the chat. There you go. One Mind Productions. Okay, so there we are. Now, this week, I didn't leave enough time for questions, but please don't hesitate to ask questions that you have. I'd love to. We collect them, we pay attention, we know what they are, and I will definitely I'll answer these questions next time, next week. Okay, good. Let's see here. Do we have Jin Chuan or Jin Wei on? Is anybody here to talk about the Berkeley Monastery? Is there? If not, then I will talk about Buddha Root Farm. Here we are. We have a summer camp every year. The dates this year are June 21st to June 27th. We camp out in the Oregon woods, in the bush, coastal Oregon, near the Pacific Ocean. It is wonderful, wild country. Anybody who's ever thought about the Wild West in America, this is it. It's a place called Turtle Mountain. It is a splendid, wonderful place to cultivate the way. You can imagine reciting the Buddha's name under these trees. It is raw, real, pure nature with rabbits, deer, the occasional bear who is more afraid of us than we are of them. And check it out. Here are some videos you can watch if you're able to get YouTube. Here is the application. Click on that and it answers all your questions. There's also a chance to do work week. There's also a chance to do 3 days of Chan after the Buddha Root Farm week. Just to let people know about that. Okay, let's see here. All righty. We have 89 of us on the Zoom call and a bunch of other folks on YouTube. Glad you're here, friends. Next week, Sudana will demonstrate his affection for his new teacher and show how sad he is to have to leave him. And then he'll move on to the elder liberation, who's got another incredible Dharma method to teach. Okay. This week, your homework, contemplate communication. What's it like to, in your world, trying to communicate to others? Is it easy? Is it difficult? How can we facilitate communication? How can we make communication easier, more complete? One comment, it's not always with more words. Sometimes it's more sincerity. Dedicate merit, here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds away to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. finish up by bowing to Guanyin Bodhisattva, and then we can bow to our teachers. So please join. Here we go. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Here we go. Let me bring up Sherpa's picture. Here we go. That's going to do it for us for today. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to seeing you all next week. Amitofo. Bye now.